So last week we almost finished the section on Patthana, a very small portion left to be covered. So before we go to that portion, we will go back to the 24 conditions and try to understand the conditioning states and conditioned states of each of the 24 conditions. Although it will be difficult for you to remember all, at least I want you to understand. I want you to know how to read these pages. Now the first one is Hetu condition. Now you know Hetu means root, and there are 6 roots. So for each condition there is the conditioning state, or there are conditioning states and conditioned states. When we know the conditioning states and conditioned states, then we can find out whether there is a Hetu relation between some given states. So first we should understand what are the conditioning states and what are the conditioned states of each condition. So number 1, Hetu, 6 Hetus are the conditioning states. And the conditioned states are 71 Sahetuka Chetas. That means 89 minus 18. We leave out Ahetuka Chetas. And then 52 Chetasikas except Moha concomitant with 2 Moha Mula Chetas. Although there are 52 Chetasikas, we have to leave out Moha associated with 2 Moha Mula Chetas, because there is only one Hetu there, Moha Hetu there. So there are no other Hetus, so it has to be left out. And then Rupa born of Cheta, but here Rupa born of Sahetuka Cheta, Rupa born of Cheta accompanied by Hetu. And then Kama born Rupa, that means at the moment of Patisandhi, there is Kama born Rupa, and that Patisandhi should be Sahetuka. So Patisandhi with roots. So on the conditioning side, there are 6 Hetus, and on the conditioning side, there are 71 Chetas, 52 Chetasikas, Rupa born of Cheta and Rupa born of Kama. Number 2, Aramana, object condition. There are nothing which is not the object. So everything there is, including Nibbana and Peññati, are objects. So 89 Chetas, 52 Chetasikas, 28 Rupas, all belonging to past, present and future. So past Chetas, Chetasikas, Rupas, present Chetas, Chetasikas, Rupas, future Chetas, Chetasikas, Rupas. And then Nibbana and Peññati, both timeless. Nibbana is timeless and Peññati is timeless. So we cannot say Nibbana is past or present or future, and we cannot say that Peññati is past, present or future either. And on the conditioned side, there are only Chetas and Chetasikas, because they must take the conditioning states as object. And only Chetas and Chetasikas take objects, not Rupa. So Rupa and Nibbana and Peññati are not on the conditioned side. So on the conditioning side, Chetas, Chetasikas, Rupa, Nibbana and Peññati, and on the conditioned side, only Chetas and Chetasikas. And then adhipati, predominance. There are two kinds of adhipati. The first one is aramana adhipati, and the second is sahajata adhipati. Now, we've studied aramana adhipati the other last week, and that is more detailed than given here. Aramana adhipati means the object which is taken intensely, the very desirable objects. So here, on the conditioning side, desirable 18 nibbana rupas. You know the nibbana rupas, the first 18 of the 28. And 84 cetas, other than 2 dosa mula cetas, 2 moha mula cetas, body consciousness with pain, that means dukkha sahagata, kaya viññāna, and then 47 cetasikas other than dosa, isa, machariya, kukucha, and vicikicca. So 52 minus 5. All taken intensely and belonging to past, present, and future. And nibbana, which is timeless. And they are conditioning states. And on the conditioned side, 8 lobha mula cetas, 8 mahakusala, that means 8 kamavajra kusala cetas, 4 mahakiriya cetas accompanied by jnana, and then 8 supramundane cetas. Only these cetas take objects intensely. And then cetasikas are 45, other than dosa, asa, machariya, kukuja, vicikicca, and appamanya. Appamanya means karuna and mudita, all of which take their objects intensely. And in detail, you have to go back to the chart given last week. So if some conditioning state and conditioned state are included in these, then we can say, oh, there is the aramana adhipati relation between these two. The second one is sahajata adhipati. Now, sahajata adhipati means connaissance predominant. That means they must arise together, and then one becomes predominant. Now, you know there are 4 adhipatis, right? Chanda, viriya, citta, vimansa. So any one among 3 or 4 predominant factors, which are chanda, viriya, and vimansa, concomitant with 52 predominant javanas. Now, how many javanas are there? 55. But you have to leave out ahituka javanas and one-root javanas. So we take only 2-root javanas and 3-root javanas. How many one-root javanas are there? 2. Moha mula ceta. And how many no-root javanas? 1. So we take out 3. So we get 52 javanas. So chanda, viriya, and vimansa means knowledge. So chanda, viriya, and vimansa concomitant with these 52 javanas. But these 3 cannot be predominant at the same time, at the same moment. That is why it is said any one among. And then for cetas, we take 52 predominant javanas. So chanda, viriya, and vimansa are those that are concomitant with 52 javanas, and for citta adhipati, we take 52 javanas. But at one time, only one can be predominant, either chanda or viriya or vimansa or citta. And on the conditioned side, 52 predominant javanas, 51 cetasikas other than vicikiccha. Vicikiccha and adhipati are incompatible, except the predominant factor and rupa born of predominant ceta. That means when, for example, when chanda is adhipati, then we have to leave chanda out of the cetasikas. When viriya is adhipati, then we leave viriya out of the conditioned states. When vimamsa is adhipati, then we have to take out vimamsa from the conditioned state. So, except the predominant factor and rupa born of predominant ceta. Now, on the conditioning side, any one among 3 or 4, I hope you understand that. Why 3 or 4? Because vimamsa does not arise with some javanas. With javanas without jnana, right? There is no vimamsa. So that is why it is said 3 or 4. Sometimes you get all 4, sometimes you get only 3. Next one is anantara, immediate, no gap. Preceding 89 cetas except Chuti ceta of Arahants, because there is no more ceta after the death consciousness of Arahants. So it has to be accepted. And then 52 cetasikas. And on the conditioned side, succeeding 89 cetas, including Chuti ceta of Arahants. So Chuti ceta of Arahant is not the conditioning state of Anantara, but it is the conditioned state of Anantara. And when you understand Anantara, you understand Samanantara. So they are same. Now we come to Sahajara. Sahajara is complicated. I made a change there. Not change, but I add something there. First, I made it as it was in the Burmese book. But there, the conditioning states and conditioning states are just given, and they are not they are not made to correspond with the conditioning states are not made to correspond with conditioned states. So, although it is according to the Burmese book, I think it is better to add something here so that we understand clearly. Otherwise, we have to say some other thing. Now, on the conditioning side, the first group, both at PV means Pavati. Pavati means during life. So both at during life and Patisandhi. 89 cetas, 52 cetasikas, which support each other. That means ceta and cetasika support each other. And each other as well as ceta born rupa at Pavati and kama born rupa at Patisandhi. Ceta and cetasika support each other, but ceta and cetasika on the one hand and rupa on the other hand, they are not reciprocally supported. So the rupa is always on the conditioned side. So here, 89 cetas and 52 cetasikas, that's all. Then what kind of 89 Chetas and 52 Cetasikas? Oh, they must be those that support each other. And also each other as well as Rupa. During life, Rupa born of Cheta, and at the moment of Patisandhi, Rupa born of Kama. And on the conditioned side, again, both at Pavati and Patisandhi, both during life and at relinking 89 Chetas and 52 Cetasikas, which are supported by each other. And Cheta born Rupa at Pavati and Kama born Rupa at Patisandhi. So when Cheta is conditioning state, let's take Lobha Mula Cheta. First Lobha Mula Cheta. So first Lobha Mula Cheta, 19 Cetasikas and Cheta born of, Rupa born of Cheta. Now you look at these three. So when Cheta is the conditioning state, Cetasikas and Rupa are conditioned state. When Cetasika is a conditioning state, then Cheta and Rupa are conditioned state. So Rupa is always on the conditioned side and not on the conditioning side. And first Kamavachara Vibhaga Cheta as Patisandhi Cheta. So there are 33 Cetasikas and let's say for human beings 30 Rupas born of Kama. So in that case, Patisandhi Cheta is the conditioning state and Cetasikas and Rupa born of Kama are conditioned state. If we take Cetasikas to be the conditioning state, then Cheta and Rupa born of Kama are conditioned states. The next group is Rupa to Rupa. 4 great essentials comprising Cheta born Rupa, Kama born Rupa at Patisandhi, and then external Rupa, Rupa born of Ahara, Rupa born of Udu, Kama born Rupa in Asanya Bhava, Kama born Rupa at Pavati, which support each other and depending matters. Now 4 great essentials and depending matter. This is the what is important here. 4 great essentials and depending matter means Upada Rupas. And these 4 great essentials are Cheta born Rupa, Kama born Rupa, Advatisandhi, and so on. And on the conditioned side, 4 great essentials together with depending matters. So that means all Rupas, right? So the Cheta born Rupa at Pavati and Kama born Rupa at Patisandhi are included in 4 great essentials together with depending matters. So that is why in the Burmese books, Cheta born Rupa at Patisandhi and Kama born Rupa at, Cheta born Rupa at Pavati and Kama born Rupa at Patisandhi are not given in the first group. So let us take, let's say, I decade, right? So among the I decade, there are 4 great essentials. So you take 1 great essential as conditioning state, then what are the conditioned states? The remaining 3 great essentials and depending matter are conditioned state. And then the last group, mental aggregates at Patisandhi, in 5 aggregate existence. That means human beings, devas, apayas, and heart base, which support each other. Now, Nama and Rupa are reciprocal only at the moment of Patisandhi. During lifetime, they are not said to be supporting reciprocally. So, mental aggregates at Patisandhi, that means Chaita and Cetasikas. Since it is at Patisandhi, what kind of mental aggregates? Kusala or Akusala or Vibhaka or Kiriya? Vibhaka, right. So actually Vibhaka Chaitas and Cetasikas in 5 aggregate existence and heart base which support each other. And on the conditioned side, heart base supported by mental aggregates at Patisandhi in 5 aggregate existence and mental aggregates at Patisandhi in 5 aggregate existence supported by heart base. That means heart base supported by Chaitas and Cetasikas, and Chaitas and Cetasikas supported by heart base. So, at the moment of Patisandhi for a human being, there is first Kamajra Vibhaka Chaita, and then Cetasikas. These two are mental aggregates. And then there are 30 rupas, and among them there is heart base. So, mental aggregates are the conditioning state, and heart base is conditioned state. Again, heart base is the conditioning state, and mental aggregates are the conditioned states. So here, at the moment of Patisandhi, Nama supports Rupa and Rupa supports Nama. But during life, Nama supports Rupa only. If you understand Sahajada, you understand Anyamanya, mutual support. But here, both at Pawati and Patisandhi, 89 Chaitas, 52 Cetasikas which support each other. Now there are no Rupas here, because we do not have mutual support between Nama and Rupa during lifetime. On the conditioned side also, the same. Both at Pawati and Patisandhi, 89 Chaitas, 52 Cetasikas which are supported by each other. And 4 great essentials, that only, right? No depending matter here. 4 great essentials. And these 4 great essentials comprise Chaita born Rupa, Kama born Rupa at Patisandhi, and so on and so on and so on. So they support each other. 4 great essentials. And on the conditioned side also, the same. So, suppose, again, let us take the I decade. There are 10 rupas in I decade group. So, if we take earth element as conditioning state, then the other 3 are the conditioned state. We do not take Ubara rupas here, because Ubara rupas and essentials do not support each other. Only the essentials support the depending matter, but depending matter does not support the essentials, because since they are depending, they have to depend on the essentials. So the Anyamanya condition can be obtained only between 4 great elements, not between 4 great elements and depending matter. And then third group, mental aggregates at Patisandhi in 5 aggregate existence and heart base which support each other. And on the conditioned side also actually the same. Heart base supported by mental aggregates at Patisandhi in 5 aggregate existence, and mental aggregates at Patisandhi in 5 aggregate existence supported by heart base. So at the moment of Patisandhi, mental aggregates and heart base support each other. When we take mental aggregates as conditioning state, then heart base is the conditioned state. And when we take the heart base as conditioned state, conditioning state, then mental aggregates are the conditioned states. And as I said before, Anya Manya is narrower than Sahajada. Wherever there is Anya Manya, there is Sahajada. But wherever there is Sahajada, there may or may not be Anya Manya. And then Nisya, support. There are 1, 2, actually 2 is subdivided into A and B. So first is Sahajada Nisya. It is the same as Sahajada. And then Purijada Nisya. Pre-nascent support. There are 2 varieties. The first one is Vatu Purijada Nisya. Since it is said Vatu, we know that 6 Vatus are the conditioning states. So 6 material bases at Pavati. And the conditioned states are at Pavati. That means during life, 85 Chaitas other than 4 Aruva Vajra Vibhaga Chaitas and 52 Chaitasikas and 5 aggregate existence. And then the other one is Vattaramana Purijata Nisya. Vatu Aramana Purijata Nisya. It must be Vatu, it must be Aramana, it must be Purijata, pre-nascent, and it must be support. So there is only one such thing, and that is heart base. So at time of approaching death, not at time of death, because at time of death means at the moment of Chuti Cheta. Here, not Chuti Cheta. At the time of approaching death. Heart base arising at the genesis phase of the 17th Cheta reckons backward from Chuti Cheta. Now, if you remember 6th chapter, when Rupa born of Kama arises for the last time in one life, right? Because Rupa born of Kama must disappear simultaneously with Chuti Cheta. Rupa born of Kama does not exist beyond the Chuti Cheta. And since lifespan of Rupa is 17 thought moments, we say the Rupa born of Kama, or here heart base, arises at the 17th thought moment, reckon backward from Chuti Cheta. We take Chuti Cheta as 1, and so we go backward, and then we arrive at the 17th Cheta. So, heart base, which arises at the genesis phase. Now, there are 3 phases, right? Genesis, status, and death. So, genesis phase. So, heart base at that moment can be, is the base, and it can be the object. And it has arisen before the consciousness. So it is Purijata, and it is the support, Nisya. Now on the conditioned side, at time of approaching death, mind or adverting consciousness, Manodwara Vajana, 29 Kama Vajra Javanas, 11 Tadaramanas, and then 44 Chaitasikas, other than Asa, Macharya, Kokoja, 3 Viriddhis and 2 Appamanya. So on the conditioned side, Chaitas and Chaitasikas. Not all Chaitas and not all Chaitasikas. So mind or adverting, and then 29 Kamavajra Chetas, Kamavajra Javanas, and 11 Tadaramanas. Sometimes a person may take his heart base as an object for vipassana meditation. Or sometimes heart base may be the object of the mind or adverting and javanas during the death thought process. So the heart base is it is a base. It can be an object, and it arises before the Cheta arises, and it is a support. So there is only one thing that answers these four conditions, and so here only heart base is the conditioning state, and those that take that heart base as object are the conditioned states. Now, next one is Upanisaya. There are three Upanisayas that you already know that. Aramana Upanisaya, firm support or decisive support of object, and that is the same as Aramana Adhipati. And then Anantara Upanisaya, that is the same as Anantara. And number three is Pakatupanisaya, strong previous 89 Chetas, 52 Chetasikas, 28 Rupas, and some kinds of Panyati. That means individual, dwelling place, and so on. And on the conditioned side, only Chetas and Chetasikas. Purejada, pre-nascence. That means if it must be Purejada, it must have arisen before the conditioned states arise. So there are two varieties of Purejada. One is Vattu Purejada. So it is the same as Vattu Purejada Nesaya. Where is Vattu Purejada Nesaya? 8.2a. And then number two is Aramana Purejada. That is, present 18 Nibbana Rupas are the conditioning states, and 54 Kamavajra Chetas, 2 Abhinyas, 50 Chetasikas other than 2 Abhamanyas. They are conditioned states. So, in order to get the Purejada condition or Purejada relation, then conditioning state must have arisen before the conditioned states, and they must be existing simultaneously. Next one is Pachajada. It is the opposite of Purejada. Here, the conditioning state arises after the conditioned states. That means the conditioned states arise before the conditioning state. And when the conditioning state arises, it supports the already existing conditioned state. So here, in 5 aggregate existence, later 85 Chetas, other than 4 Arubhavajra Vibhaka Chetas, commencing with first Bhavanga, so beginning with first Bhavanga, and 52 Chetasikas, because at the moment of Patisandhi, there can be no Pachajada, relation. because the Chaita must arise after the arising of Rupa. And then on the conditioned side, Rupa born of one cause, there are 4 causes. So Rupa born of one cause, Rupa born of 2 causes, born of 3 causes, born of 4 causes, which arise with genesis phase of preceding Chaitas, such as Patisanti Chaita. Some Rupa arise at the genesis phase of Patisanti Chaita, right? And when they reach the first Bhavanga Chaita, say first Bhavanga Chaita arises, and that first Bhavanga Chaita supports the Rupa which have already arisen. So it arose after, the Chaita arises after the Rupa born of Kama. That is why it is called Pachajada, post-nascent condition. Okay, Asivana. Asivana is repetition. 47 mundane javanas other than the last javana of same genus. 52 Chaitasikas. And on the conditioned side, succeeding 51 javanas other than first javana and thala javanas. There is asivana condition only between javanas, because since it is repetition, it must be of the same kind. It must be, or must be kusala, or must be kiriya. So asivana can be obtained only between javanas. First javana is the conditioning state, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth conditioning state. And the conditioned state is second javana, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh. So on the conditioning side, the last javana must be excluded. And on the conditioned side, the first javana must be excluded. Because before the first javana there is what? Vatthapana. So they are not of the same kind. Vatthapana is ahituka kiriya cheta, right? And javana must be kusala or akusala. Or kamavachara kiriya. Okay. Now, next one is kama. There are 2 kinds of kama. Sahajata kama, that means arising together kama, and second one is nanakanika kama, asynchronous or different time kama. For Sahajata kama, 89 Chaitanas and 89 Chaitas. That means Chaitana concomitant with 89 Chaitas. And on the conditioned side, 89 Chaitas, 51 Chaitasikas other than Chaitana, and then Rupa born of Chaita and Rupa born of Kama. So this is the Sahajata Kama condition. So when first Lobha Mula Chaita arises, there is Chaitana with it. So that Chaitana is a Sahajata Kama condition for Lobha Mula Chaita, other Chaitasikas, and Rupa born of Chaita. If it is at the moment of Patisanti, then it is again Kama condition. Nanakanika Kama is the Kama we are familiar with. So 33 past Kusala and Akusala Chaitanas. How many Kusala Chaitas are there? 21. And Akusala? 12. So 33. And on the conditioned side, Vipaka Chaitas, Chaitasikas, and Rupa born of Kama. at Patisandhi, and Rupa born of karma in Asanya Bhava, and Rupa born of karma at Bhavati. So Cetana is the karma, and Vibhaka Cetas, Cetasikas, and Rupa born of karma are the conditioned states. Next is Vibhaka. Here we get Vibhaka Cetas. So both at Bhavati and Patisandhi, 36 Vibhaka Cetas, 38 Cetasikas, which support each other and each other, as well as Ceta born Rupa and Karma born Rupa at Bhavati. And on the conditioned side, more or less the same, right? 36 Vibhaka Cetas, 38 Cetasikas, which are supported by each other, Ceta born Rupa other than two intimations, Viññatis, and Karma born Rupa at Patisandhi. Viññati are not produced by Vibhaka Cetas. You have to go back to 6th chapter. Right? 6th chapter, Rupa Samauthana, page 248. Javanas of the sense sphere and direct knowledge consciousness produce also bodily and vocal intimation. And among them there are no Vibhaka Cetas. So bodily and vocal intimations are caused by or produced by javanas of sense sphere, Kamavajra javanas, direct knowledge or abhinya, and also by other javanas, but not by Vibhaka Cetas. That is why two intimations are excluded here. Now this relationship is not between karma and its results. Number 13 is relationship between karma and result. But this number 14 relationship is not between karma and result, but between result and result. 15 ahara. Now there are two kinds of ahara, rupa ahara and nama ahara. You know rupa ahara, right? Edible food or nutriment. And its conditioned state is rupa born of nutrition, or internal nutrition born of four causes and external nutrition born of utu. So again we take nutrition as conditioning state, and four cause born rupa born of four causes, existing in the same and different rupa groups other than nutrition in the same rupa group. Confusing. Yeah? In the same and different rupa groups. For example, eye decade. There are 10 rupas in eye decade. You know the 10? 8 inseparables, jivita and I. Among the 8 separables there is ahara, right? Oja, ahara. So, that ahara in the eye decade is the conditioning state, and the other rupas are conditioned state. So, in the same group, ahara cannot be on the conditioned state, because it is conditioning state. But it can be a condition for ahara in other groups. So that is why here it is said, same and different rupa groups. Same rupa group and different rupa group. Again, let us take two groups. Eye decad and ear decad. Ahara in the eye decad is the conditioning state for the other 9 in the same group, right? And it is the conditioning state for the other ear decad, or all 10 included in the ear decad. So, within the same group, ahara can be only conditioning, and the others are conditioned. But with regard to the different groups, then ahara in one group is the conditioning state, and all of the other group, including ahara in that group, is the conditioned state. Nama ahara. Now there are 4 aharas taught in the 7th chapter. One is rupa, and the other 3 are nama. And these 3 are phassa, cetana, and vijnana or ceta. So 3 ahara factors, namely phassa, cetana, and vijnana, are the conditioning states. And 89 cetas, 52 cetasikas, ceta born rupa and kama born rupa at patisandhi are the conditioned states. 16 is indriya. There are 3 varieties. The first one is sahajata indriya. Since it is sahajata, they must be existing together. There are 8 factors of mental faculties, which are the conditioning states here. And they are jivita, citta, vedana, saddha, viriya, sati, ekagata, panya. You can go through the 22 indriyas, 22 faculties, and then which ultimate realities are represented by each one of these 22, and so you get the 8 mental faculties, or the eight things in reality which are mental faculties. So they are jivita, nama jivita, citta, vedana, saddha, viriya, sati, ekagata, panya. And the conditioned states are cetas, cetasikas, and rupa born of citta and rupa born of kama. The second one is purijata indriya. Now, since it is purijata, it must have arisen before the conditioned states. So they are eye-based, ear-based, nose-based, tongue-based, body-based, arising at the genesis phase of first bhavanga. Now, the general opinion of teachers is that eye-based and so on, that arises at the genesis phase of the first bhavanga, is the support for seeing consciousness, hearing consciousness, and so on. So we say here, first bhavanga. But there are some teachers who do not agree with this statement. So according to them, the eye-base and so on, that arise at any moment before, not just past bhavanga. Any thought moment before the conditioned states arise. So it may be the eye-base that arises at the genesis phase of second bhavanga. I mean, second Pasbhavanga or third Pasbhavanga and so on. But here we follow the general opinion of teachers. And on the conditioned side, since eye-based, there are eye-based, ear-based and so on, here we have 10 Dvipanja Vinyanas. That means seeing consciousness, hearing consciousness and so on. And the Cetasikas going along with them only 7 universal Cetasikas. And then number 3 is Rupa Jivita Indriya. That's easy. So that is Rupa Jivita at both Bhavati and Patisandhi. And on the conditioned side, 9 Rupas other than Rupa Jivita, which are born of karma and belong to the same Rupa group again. Jivita is the conditioning state, and the other 9 Rupas are conditioned state. That is in the same group. Okay, jhana. Now you know jhana. Vitaka, vichara, piti, vedana, and ekagata. But there is one qualification that is concomitant with 79 cetas other than 10 Dvipanja Vijnana cetas, because states concomitant with 10 Dvipanja Vijnana cetas are not called jhananga, jhana factor. You have to go back to 7th chapter. And on the conditioned side, 79 cetas other than 10 Dvipanja Vijnana cetas, 52 cetasikas, and then Rupa born of Ceta and Rupa born of Kama. Magga. There are 9 Magga factors, and they are Panya, Vitaka, Samavaja, Samakamanta, Sama Ajiva, Viriya Siddhi, Ekagata, and Ditti. Again here, concomitant with 71 Sahetuka cetas. So, Magga factors cannot be obtained in Ahetuka cetas. Again, go back to 7th chapter. So, on the conditioned side, 71 Sahetuka cetas, 52 cetasikas, and Rupa born of Ceta and Rupa born of Kama at Sahetuka Patisandhi. Sampayutta, association. Sampayutta can be had only between Nama and Nama. So both at Bhavati and Patisandhi, 89 cetas and 52 cetasikas. So they support each other. And on the conditioned side also the same. Both at Bhavati and Patisandhi, 89 cetas and 52 cetasikas. Vipayutta. There are three varieties. Sahajata Vipayutta. So they belong to Sahajata group. On the conditioning side, both at Bhavati and Patisandhi, 75 cetasikas other than 4 Arubhavajara Vibhaga cetas, 10 Dvipanja Vinyanas and Chuti ceta of Arahants. They are accepted. 52 cetasikas, and all of them in 5 aggregate existence. And on the conditioned side, Ceta born Rupa and Kama born Rupa at Patisandhi. So here, Sahajata Vipayutta is between Ceta and Cetasikas on the one hand and Rupa on the other. And then next group, mental aggregates at Patisandhi in 5 aggregate existence and heart base, which support each other. Now in Sahajata and Anyamanya, you find this, right? Mental aggregates and heart base supporting each other. So they support each other and they arise at the same time. And so there is a suspicion that they might be associated. So in order to negate that, they are termed Vipayutta here. Although they arise together, they are Vipayutta. Like it gives the mixture of oil and water. So although they are together, they are not mixed, they are not blended. So in the same way, the mental aggregates and heart base, although they arise together, they are not associated. And on the conditioned side, heart base supported by mental aggregates at Patisandhi and 5 aggregate existence, and mental aggregates at Patisandhi and 5 aggregate existence supported by heart base. So between mental aggregates and heart base, there can be sahajada condition, right? And anyamanya condition, right? And here, vipayuta condition. Okay, the others are all the same as the previous one. So, purijata vipayuta is same as purijata, nisaya, and pachajata vipayuta is same as pachajata. And then ati, there are 5 varieties of ati, but they are all the same as those that I mentioned before. So, sahajata ati, purijata ati, pachajata ati, ahara ati, indriya ati. Now, sahajata ati means they must arise together and they must be together. Purijata ati means the conditioning state must arise before the conditioned state, but they must be existing at the same time. And pachajata is conditioning state arises after the conditioned state, and they too are existing at the time. Ahara ati, it must also be existing. Both must also be existing, and indriya ati is the same thing. So, if there is ahara condition or indriya condition, then the conditioning states and conditioned states must be together at the time. And nati is same as anandara, disappearance. The same as proximity. And vigata is same as anandara. So nati and vigata are same, and ati and avigata are also same. So avigata is same as ati. Okay, now I hope you can at least read yeah, and understand. So whenever we want to know the conditions, we have to refer to this chart. Okay, now we will go to the idle thought process, and I want you to find out how many conditions you can explain. You can look at the chart. That is not the. Is that the seeing thought process? Yeah. No, I don't think so. It's all right if you don't have it. So, to today's handout. Idol, that one. Yeah. So, please look at this handout, today's handout. So that is idol thought process. And now, present visible object, object of viti chetas. And then kama nimitta and gati nimitta. And then we have viti chetas. You know, in one thought process, there are bhavangas and then viti chetas. So bhavanga cheta and viti chetas are different. So this thought process begins with A, atita bhavanga, right? Past bhavanga. And then C, chalana bhavanga. That means vibrating bhavanga. And U, arrested bhavanga, upacheda bhavanga. And P, 5 sense door adverting, Panchadwara Vajana. And then Chakku Vinyana. Next one, Sampadechana. Next one, Santirana. Next one, Vatavana. And then 7 Javanas. And then 2 Dadaramanas. And then Bhavanga. So there are 17 thought moments from past Bhavanga to second Dadaramana. And among them, only 14 are Viti Chetas, beginning with Panchadwara Vajana. So they are Viti Chetas. And the first 3 are Viti Mutta Chetas, Viti free Chetas, right? So Viti free and Viti. Process free and process Chetas. Along with these Chetas, there are Chetasikas, right? That you have to find out how many from the other chart. And then along with them, there are Chaitaja Rupas. That means Rupa born of Chaita. So they also exist all through these 17 moments. And then there are Kamaja Rupas also, right? Rupa born of Kama are produced at every moment of Chaitas, right? Until the 17 moment before death. So there are Rupa born of Kama also. We take only 2 here, Chakku Vatu, eye base, and Hriday Vatu, heart base. Actually, there are others also. But since it is the eye door thought process, we take only Chakku Vatu. If it is ear door thought process, then instead of Chakku, we should have Sota and so on. Okay, now, you know, there is object, and there are Chaitas, there are Chaitasikas, and then Rupa born of Chaita and Rupa born of Kama. Okay. Hetu. Is there a Hetu relationship? Can you explain Hetu relationship in this thought process? Yeah? Yeah. At the moments of javanas, right? So, let us say first javana. Let's say this is a Lobha Mula Chaita, right? So, since it is Lobha Mula Chaita, there are 2 roots, Lobha and Moha, right? Take Lobha as a conditioning state, then what are the conditioned states? Lobha Mula Chaita itself, and the other Chaitasikas other than Lobha, right? And then Rupa born of Chaita. So you can explain Hetu condition in this thought process. Or you can take second javana, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh javana, right? Yeah. And also you can take not Lobha Mula Chaita, but Kama Osa Kusala Chaita. And so on and so on. Okay. What about Aramana? Object condition. It's easy, right? Yeah. So present visible object is the object condition for all these Chaitas, beginning with Panchadwara Vajana, right? And if you want to explain for the Bhavanga Chaitas, you can. Kama Nimitta and Gati Nimitta are the object condition for Bhavanga Chaitas, right? Okay. What about Adhipati? Yes? Yeah. So which Chaita will you pick up? Yeah, Javana. Because only Javana Chaitas are predominant, right? Are predominant condition. But you cannot pick up Moha Mula Chaita. Right? So there, let's say chanda, right? Chanda is the conditioning state of a devotee, then the javana and other cetasikas and rupa born of ceta, rupa born of predominant ceta are the conditioning state. A devotee. Next one. What is next one? Next one. Anandara. Okay. Can you explain Anandara here? Yeah. Very easy, right? Between the what do you call, preceding ceta and succeeding cetas. Between let's say first bhavanga and vibrating bhavanga, between vibrating bhavanga and arrested bhavanga, between arrested bhavanga and panchadwara vajana, and so on and so on and so on, right? So, because the first bhavanga is an anandara condition for the arrested bhavanga. That means, in order for the arrested bhavanga to arise, it disappears. If it doesn't disappear, then the next one cannot arise. So that's why it is called a condition for the next one to arise. So there is another condition for all these cetas, or between cetas. But we do not take rupas here, just the cetas and cetasikas. And then what about next one? What is the next one? Samanantara. So wherever there is anandara, there is samanantara. Okay. And then what? Sahajada. Can there be sahajada condition? Yes. Then what can you take? 89 cetasikas, any. So easy, eh? Okay, let's take javana. It's easy. So first of all, lopa mula ceta, cetasikas, and rupa born of ceta. Then if you take ceta as conditioning state, then the cetasikas and rupa born of ceta are conditioned state, sahajada conditioned state. What about next one? Anyamanya. Can you explain anyamanya? Yes. Between cetas and cetasikas. Here you don't take rupa. So when you take ceta as conditioning state, then cetasikas are conditioning state. When you take cetasikas as conditioning state, ceta is conditioned state. So we have anyamanya also. Okay, nisya. Can you explain nisya? Sahajada nisya, purijada nisya. Yes, right? So since they arise together, they are support of each other. And what about purijada? What to purijada? Nisya. Now you go down Chakuvatu there, right? So Chakuvatu is the conditioning state, and Chakku Vijnana is the conditioned state. There are only one, right? So Chakuvatu is the conditioning state, and Chakku Vijnana is the conditioned state, right? Heart beat, we cannot get heart beats here because it is idle thought process.
But aren't some of these based from heart base?
Yeah, there is heartbeats going on here also. Yeah.
In that case,
But between the other cetas and heartbeats, it's okay. Yeah. But here it is called what to burijada, right? Or six material beasts. Yeah. Wait a minute. Now between Chakku Vatu and Chakku Vijnana, right? And then between between Hadaya Vatu and other Chetas. Purijata Nisya. Because before the Cheta arises, Hadaya Vatu arises and it is still there. So Hadaya Vatu is the is the Vatu Purijata Nisya condition for the Chetas. Okay, Upanisaya. Now, Aramana Upanisaya. Is it possible? Yes. I think it is possible, right? The object can be very desirable object. So when the object is very desirable object, and javanas are Loba Mula Chetas or Kamajura Kusala Chetas or Kriya Chetas, then there can be Aramana Upanisaya. And what about Anandara Upanisaya? Yes, between one Cheta and the next one. And what about Pakatu Upanisaya? Pakatu Upanisaya, maybe not, right? Pakatu Upanisaya may need different thought processes. And sometimes maybe even what do you call the intervention of time. Sometimes it may be years between conditioning and conditioned state. Okay, what about Purijata? Pre-nascence. Vatu Purijata. It's the same as Vatu Purijata Nisa, right? So Chakku Vatu is the conditioning state for Chakku Vijnana, and Hadaya Vatu is the conditioning state for other Cetasikas. What about Aramana Purijata? Yes. Visible object is the Aramana Purijata condition for the whole, Vishi Cetas. Right. So, okay, Pachajata. Now there are Rupa born of Cheta, Rupa born of Kama, right? And then this Cheta arises after the after the Rupas, and it supports the Rupa. So there can be Pachajata condition also. Cheta to Rupa, right? So Rupa arose before the Cheta arises. When Cheta arises, then it supports the already existing Rupa. So Cheta is the Pachajata condition for Rupa. Repetition, Asivana. Can you explain repetition condition here? So between first Javana and second and third and fourth and fifth and sixth and seventh. You stop there. Then Kama. Normally, we say that we acquire karma during the Javana moments, right? But actually, it is said in the commentaries that karma is acquired not during the five sense door thought process. Karma is acquired only in the following mind door thought processes. It is said that javanas in the five sense door thought process are too weak to constitute karma. So if you follow that statement, then there can be no karma condition in this thought process. That means asynchronous karma condition. But sahajata karma condition, yes, right? Because sahajata karma condition means they must arise they must exist together at the same time, and one must be chetana, and the others must be Chetas and other Chetasikas, and Rupa born of Cheta and Rupa, right? Rupa born of Cheta and Rupa born of Kama, right? So we can explain Sahajata Kama in this thought process. Just pick up any Cheta and take the Chetana that arises with that Cheta. So Chetana is the conditioning, and that Cheta and Chetasikas and Rupa born of Cheta are the conditioned states. So we cannot have Nanakhandika Kama here. 14. Vibhaka condition, resultant condition. Chakku Vijnana is Vibhaka Cheta, right? Sampadichana is Vibhaka Cheta. Santirana is Vibhaka Cheta. So we can explain Vibhaka condition there. But not with Vodhavana, not with Javanas. But with Dadaramanas also? Yes. So there is Vibhaka condition between Cheta and Chetasika and Rupa. Ahara condition. No Rupa Ahara. But Nama Ahara? Yes. Because Phasa, Chetana and Cheta. In that case you can pick up any Cheta. Pick up any Cheta and then take Phasa as conditioning and the others and Rupa born of Cheta as a conditioned state, and also at the moment of Bodhisanti. Okay, Indriya. Sahajata Indriya, Purijata Indriya, Rupa Jivita Indriya. Now Sahajata Indriya are the factors, Jivita, Cheta, Vedana and so on. So there is Sahajata Indriya here. Since there is Cheta, you can pick up any Cheta. And then Purijata Indriya. Eye base, ear base and so on. So here Chakuvatu is the Purijata Indriya condition for Chakku Vijnana. Right? Yeah. Then Rupa Jivita Indriya. Since there are Rupa, we may explain this, but our main concern is the thought process. But along with thought process, Rupas are arising and disappearing, and so we can explain if you want to. What about jhana? Vitaka, Vichara, Piti, Vedana, Ekagata. And concomitant with 79 Chetas other than 10 Dvipancha Vijnanas. So we leave out Chakku Vijnana here. And with other Chetas, we can explain jhana condition. Right? What about Magga condition? Panya, Vitaka, Samma Vacha, Samma Kamanta, Samma Ajiva, Viriya, Sati, Ekagata, Deti. So we can explain. Panya we can explain. Right? If we take Javanas to be Kama Vajra Kusala. Vitaka also we can explain. Sama Vacha, Sama Kamanta, Sama Ajiva we can explain. Viriya, Sati, Ekagata, Deti. So there is Magga condition here. Only you cannot take Chakku Vijnana, Sampadichana, Santirana and Vodhavana. Right? No, because there is no Magga condition in these Chetas. And you have to remember 7th chapter. Okay, next one. Sampayutta, association. Yes. Between Chaitas and Chaitasikas. And you pick up any Chaita and then with Chaitasikas they are Sampayutta. Then Vaipayutta. Vaipayutta, 75 Chaitas other than 4 Arubhavajra Vibhaga Chaitas, 10 Vibhanja Vinyanas and Chuti Chaita Vrahans, 52 Chaitasikas and 5 aggregate existence. And then on the other side, Chaita born Rupa, Kama born Rupa at Bhatisanti. So there is Chaita born Rupa here. So with Chaita born Rupa and Chaita there is this Vipayutta condition. Right? So you can pick up not Chakku Vijnana. Chakku Vijnana does not produce Rupa. Let's pick up just Javana. So you pick up Javana and the Javana Chaita and Chaitasikas are conditioning states and Rupa born of Chaita is conditioned state. So you can explain that. Vipayutta. And then what about Ati? A lot. Right? Because there are Sahajadati, Purijatati and so on. So you can explain Ati. Pick up anything. You can take visible object as conditioning state and Chaita and Chaitasikas as conditioned state. Or you can take Chaita as conditioning state and Rupa as conditioned state, Pachachata Ati, and so on. And what about Nati? Yes, because there is where there is Anantara, there is Nati. And Vigata, same. And Avigata, then you can explain almost all 24 conditions in just one thought process. So,
under the Magga, you said I think it didn't apply to all of the Chaitas in the process.
Magga?
Yeah, the Magga, number 18.
Yeah. Now, Magga condition cannot be obtained with the Ahiduka Chaitas. Right?
But Ekagata is universal, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah. Although it is universal, when it arises with Ahiduka Chaitas, it is not Magga. It is not called Magganga. So we have to exclude Ahiduka Chaitas when we talk about Magga condition. So we cannot take Panchadwara Vajana, Chakku Vijnana, Sampadicana, Santirana, and Vattabana. So, as I said before, seeing is a very simple experience. We experience seeing almost always, right? And so, since we are experiencing it every day, we take it for granted, and we do not know how complicated just seeing is, and how many the ultimate realities are involved, and then how they are related to each other. You can explain, when you understand Abhidhamma, you can explain this in very great detail. So, seeing is not a simple experience. It is a very complicated and very involved. So, in just seeing, you can explain all these 24 relationships taught in the Patthana. So, when you understand the relationship with reference to Patthana, you really understand the cause-effect relationship, and you understand fully. If you do not understand according to Patthana, your understanding may be not complete. You may know that this is caused by this, this is the result of that, but you may not know how they are related. But with Patthana, we know how, in what way they are related, as Aramana, as Hetu, as Adipati, and so on. So, when you understand Patthana, you can understand a lot. Not only in living beings, but in outside world also. Because Patthana explains not beings only, but beings as well as the outside things. And then, next time, we will have to go back to Paticca Samuppada. Even though, if we do not go through in detail, still, I think it is good to go through the Paticca Samuppada. So please bring the handouts for Paticca Samuppada with reference to Patthana next week.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.